Good morning, friends. Welcome to Woodridge. If this is your first time, if I haven't met you yet, I would love to. As Zach said, I have the privilege of serving our littles in early childhood, and you guys are a lot bigger than the kids I normally talk to. But I do see, like my buddy Titus over here and a couple other littles, you guys are giving me my confidence and courage today. It is so good to be with you today. We are in the middle of a series called Patterns of This World. We're building it around one verse, Romans 12:2. Paul writes this: "Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." In this series, we're looking at the patterns of our time, the 21st century, in our place, the West. And if we're not aware of them or intentional enough, we may just follow the patterns. Not because we went to the paint store and chose the paint color, but because they make up the water we're swimming in. And we might, dare I say, be too used to the water. It's easy to forget the kind of water that we're swimming in. It's normal for us. And by the way, happy 5th of July. 4th of July gets a lot of praise. I think 5th of July is good too. I know yesterday was the big one, fireworks, flags, the Delano parade. It's incredible. But I'm grateful for today too, and grateful that I'm in this room with you, grateful for this church, and grateful for this place that we get to call home. And if this is home, then that means you're my neighbor. I'm not Mr. Rogers. Love the guy. We're going to talk about not Revolutionary War or the signing of the Declaration, really great. We're going to talk about a different war real quick. June 1944. The Allied invasion of Normandy, what we call D-Day. It was one of the most consequential military operations in human history. And there's something a lot of people forget. The whole operation hinged on a weather prediction. And I know what you're thinking. The weatherman, can I really trust them? Well, they had a whole group of weathermen planning this. General Eisenhower had a really small window. The tides needed to be right. The moonlight needed to be bright so they could see. Conditions all had to line up, and this team of meteorologists had to make a call. There was a storm that came. They pushed it 24 hours later, and thankfully, it was a success. We use weather predictions most every day, and meteorologists estimate around 6.3 billion weather observations in a day. These come from satellites, weather balloons, sensors, even your phone. 6.3 billion. And that's mostly so that we can decide what to wear today, right? Or like packing an umbrella. Now, there's other great things, like we can predict some disasters that can happen, hurricanes. I heard a really funny conspiracy theory that roundabouts create hurricanes. You know, there's like more roundabouts, more hurricanes, correlation, right? But here's something I learned a few years ago that I haven't been able to shake. Walmart, guys, I promise this is going somewhere, okay? It did an analysis cross-referencing their weather data and sales data. And they found something strange. Weather influences what kind of meat you buy. If it's hot, cloudy, and windy, people buy steaks. But the moment clouds clear and the wind dies down, people switch to burgers. It's grilling weather, right? Walmart knows this, and they've decided to serve you digital ads based at your zip code right now. Somewhere out there today, someone is getting a steak ad because of the cloud cover above their house. This is just Walmart. We live in a world, 21st century, Western, innovative, smart, filled with systems and algorithms that know us and want to shape our desires more than we often realize. And most of the time, we don't even realize it's happening. Today, we're going to look at the pattern of consumerism. Now, if you open to the first page of Genesis, you'll notice a rhythm. God creates. He steps back, he looks, and he says, it is good. Again and again. The light is good. The land is good. The seas are good. The trees are good. The animals are good. Minnesota Wild is good, I think. U.S. soccer team, good. Hopefully. 7 different times God pauses to delight in what he's made. And the Hebrew word used there for good is tov. Now, tov can certainly mean like moral goodness, but it's even bigger than that. It means beautiful, whole, life-giving, flourishing, or exactly what God intended. And I love that Genesis begins not with something humanity accomplished, but it begins with God delighting in what he has made. And I want you to know right now that he made you. That means he delights in you. It doesn't matter what you say or do, like you delight him simply because you are a son and a daughter. This is exactly why consumerism is so hard to spot, guys. It doesn't start with something evil. It starts with something tov, something good, a meal, a home, a phone, a paycheck, and it whispers that this good thing, if you get enough of it, could become the thing you actually need. Consumerism is a worldview that takes something relatively good, anything that can be consumed, and it turns it into an ultimate good. So competitive businesses are trying to shape what you desire. In fact, the model these days is like subscriptions. You identifying with a brand. All the Silicon Valley tech people have put a lot of time and money in figuring out how they can wrap you up and keep you in. But here's the good news about that. There is somebody much better than the Silicon Valley elites. There is someone who also desires your desire too. Jesus. Jesus cares about what you desire. The Christian philosopher James K.A. Smith puts this so well in his book, You Are What You Love. If you're a bookworm, please put this on your read list. I would love to read it with you. He writes that Jesus is a teacher who doesn't just inform our intellect, but he forms our very loves. He isn't content to simply deposit new ideas into your mind. He is after nothing less than your wants, your loves, your longings. That's really what this sermon is about. Jesus wants to transform your loves by renewing your mind, that Romans 12:2 passage. Jesus is the catalyst for renewal and for a new kind of love. Every day, someone is asking for your heart. Sellers want your attention, advertisers want your desire, algorithms want your habits. And before we talk about consumerism, we need to ask a better question. Businesses have an answer for this, and Jesus has an answer for this. Maybe you have an answer. Where does life actually come from? Besides your mother's, of course. I love my mom. I'm a boy. I will go to war for my mom. Just watch out. Where does life actually come from? Well, Jesus gives us a beautiful image, a good image, a tov image in John 15. Let's read John 15 together here. Jesus says this, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit. While every branch that does not bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me, and as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine. You are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. And apart from me, you can do nothing. Jesus describes a relationship of ongoing organic dependence on Jesus as the source of life. And fruitfulness flows from a dependence and a union with him and God, not toward earning it. So how does consumerism disrupt this kind of relationship with Jesus? How do these patterns get in the way of our connectedness to the vine? Well, if we had a consumerism World Cup, we'd be first. Now, let's be honest about the numbers for a second, because I think we underestimate this. One widely cited estimate says Americans have consumed more resources in the last 50 years than the entire population of the earth has consumed in all of human history prior to 1950. Let that land for a second. Researchers estimate that today the average American consumes roughly 30 times more than the average person in India. Americans make up about 5% of the world population, and we account for nearly a quarter of the global energy and resource consumption. Now, guys, I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty. I have a refrigerator, okay? I love having a refrigerator, and a laundry machine, it's useful. I'm telling you this because we are, by almost any measure, the most resourced, most comfortable, most enough people who have ever lived. And somehow we still don't feel like we have enough. That's the water we're swimming in. It's good water in a lot of ways, but it's water we've stopped noticing. And if we're not careful, we'll bring things that we think are true about this water into our relationship with Jesus. And those two things will not stand together. They won't. There's a famous story about someone asking John D. Rockefeller. He's a businessman, philanthropist, arguably the most wealthiest person during his time. How much money would finally be enough? His answer? Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. That's not a Rockefeller problem. That's a human problem. And when consumerism whispers just a little bit more, it is worth stopping and asking, well, a little bit more of what exactly and why? Is it more security? Is it more worth, more proof that you matter? Because consumerism is very good at selling you a product, but it is even better at quietly redefining what you think you're missing. Consumerism doesn't just simply convince you that you want more things. It quietly convinces you that you, a created thing, can do what only a creator can do. God. Now, I've grown to love my dashboard warning lights. I know that's going to sound crazy. No one loves to see the check engine light, but imagine if we didn't have a check engine light. Your car suddenly stops. Damage has been your engine needs to be replaced. The check engine light is great. Today, what I want to give you are 3 check engine lights for your heart and your mind. Ways in which you may be getting conformed by consumerism, the water that we're swimming in. The first is this. When my identity comes from what I own. Every purchase, every trendy influencer you follow, every podcast host that informs you, that give you information, it has the potential to make you someone new. It will. But who is it making you into? A different kind of person, maybe more adventurous, more successful, more sophisticated, more desirable. You see, advertisements rarely sell you products, they sell you identities. The problem is that possessions can tell you what you have, but it can never tell you who you are. So we keep accumulating, hoping the next thing will answer a question it was never meant to answer. Meanwhile, Jesus tells a different story. Your identity isn't something you build from the outside in. It's something you receive from the inside out. That John 15 passage, a branch doesn't wake up wondering whether it's worthy enough to belong to the vine. It belongs because Jesus says so, and it's connected. Remaining and abiding settles the identity question before it even has a chance for performance to get a vote. Your identity is not what you own. Jesus says whose you are, God's. The second warning line is this: when security comes from what I have. Now, this one is subtle because money really does provide options. I want to be careful here because I have people in my life who are going through food insecurity, health insecurity, housing insecurity, and you know what would help with those things? Money. It'd be a huge help. Money can solve problems, but it cannot remove fear because your money can always disappear. It's not eternal. What if I lose it? Security built on possessions is always fragile because possessions are fragile. Dallas Willard once asked, why is it that we're prepared to trust Christ for eternity, but not fear for next Tuesday? I live in a 1950s house in Hopkins. If you've lived in an old home, you know, there's this fear that something's going to break. AC has been ours. We keep getting refrigerant added to it every year, and I know it's going to go kaput on the worst day, probably the hottest day. And I find myself thinking, man, if we just had enough money, then we could fix the AC, we could change out the furnace, we could get the roof. Things would be better if we had more money. There might be some truth to that, but if I feed that enough, then I start seeing money as this magic tool that can solve all of my problems. Meanwhile, Jesus doesn't promise that nothing will ever be taken from you. He promises that nothing can separate you from him. Real security shifts from what I'm holding to the one who is holding me. And that's different between trusting a portfolio or a salary and trusting a person. The third one, when people become a means to an end. You see, consumerism doesn't just change how we see things. It changes how we see people without realizing it. We begin evaluating every relationship and attempt to use people to bolster our dependency on our consumption. Can this person help me? Affirm me? Advance me? People can slowly become opportunities instead of neighbors. Relationships become transactions instead of gifts. And this is dangerous because oftentimes I've found I realize what I don't actually need when I end up being in relationship with people who live a completely different life. If you've ever done missions in an impoverished area, wow, the litmus test of what you really need becomes apparent. But if I only see them as people I can use, it's not usually dramatic, friends. It's the coworker you only text when you need a favor. It's the friend you keep in the group chat because they make you look interesting. It's ignoring a phone call from a person and thinking not I miss them, but what do they want? We don't announce it. It just quietly starts sorting people into useful and not useful. And then we look at Jesus, the vine. Jesus never walks into a room wondering, what can I get from this person? He asks, how can I give myself for these people? Later on in John 15, Jesus says, greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. The love of Jesus moves in the opposite direction of consumerism. And consumerism wants to extract while Jesus gives. Consumerism wants to use while Jesus wants to serve. Consumerism turns people into a means. Jesus makes people the end. When we remain and abide in that kind of love, it slowly shapes the way we see everyone around us. Now, I wonder if one of the greatest lies we believed is that we are experts on ourselves. You think you know yourself the most, right? If we're honest with our desires, faithful to our instincts, we'll eventually become who we're meant to be. But have you noticed how often your own heart contradicts itself? We want rest, yet we fill every quiet moment. We want contentment, yet we're running and chasing after something to satisfy us. We want connection, and we use people to get ahead. If Jesus is the catalyst for renewing our mind and transforming us, well, what does he actually do? Is there a strategy, Jesus, that we can follow? What's the strategy? Well, he doesn't have a strategy for you. He doesn't have a new great idea from like a podcast. He doesn't have a delicious food that'll transform your culinary palate. He gives us himself. Listen again to his words in that John 15 passage. He says, I am the vine, you are the branches. He says, my Father is the gardener. Remain in me. Nowhere in that passage does he say the word produce. He says, remain. And the Father, the Father gardens. Guys, who here has been doing some gardening lately in this heat? It is work, okay? When I've been gardening lately, pulling weeds, I've just been thinking about, oh gosh, Lord, if I think this is work and you're my gardener, hats off to you. Our Father is the gardener. He will prune, gently cut away whatever keeps his life from flowing through ours. Sometimes that's sin. Sometimes that's success. Sometimes it's a good thing we've slowly let become an ultimate thing. It's the same invitation Paul gives in Romans 12. He says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It does not say transform yourself. Be transformed. John pictures a branch receiving life from a vine, and Paul pictures a mind being renewed by grace. These are two different images, but it's the same good news. The Christian life with Christ, is not about self-improvement. It is about union with Jesus. Which is why Paul can say something really startling here. We're going to look at Colossians 3:5. He names a lot of things in this list, and this morning I want to zero in just on one word. He says this, put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature, sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil, desires, and greed, which is idolatry. You have a choice to put to death parts of you. It says greed, which is idolatry, because greed isn't ultimately about money. It's about attachment. It's the question beneath all three of these warning lights. What am I attached to? What is my source of life? If I'm attached to what I own, I'm going to spend my whole life trying to build an identity. If I'm attached to what I have, I'll spend my whole life trying to build security. If I'm attached to myself, well, people become useful. But if I'm attached to Christ, identity becomes something I receive. Security becomes someone I trust. People become neighbors, friends to love, just like you. Because we become like what we're joined to. That's the life flowing through the vine. A couple weeks ago, I went on our student mission trip to Utah, and I realized that I'm wearing the same shirt that I have in this picture. This is not the same day, I promise. Students know that this is my favorite Sunday shirt. It was a gift from my mother-in-law. I would never pick something this colorful, but I feel like I have an out because someone bought it for me, and I actually love it. Not my style, but I love it. A gift from somebody else. We, instead of going out to eat for all our meals, which if you're a parent, you know that's like a financial burden, we decided to go to Target and pick up a bunch of food. We had 3 shopping carts full. The lady who checked us out, bless her soul, it was the longest Target receipt I've ever had, and it was only one of 3 shopping carts. Much of the men here probably know this. When there's like a car filled with groceries, our job is to see how fast and in the fewest amount of trips we can get all the groceries inside, right? It's a fun little game. And I do it every time. Like, I have the bags around my arm like this. We usually get, 2 gallons of milk, so I got both of those gallons here. The bread in the bag is getting smushed. So for the next week, all of the bread is deformed, and it's my fault because I'm carrying too much. And then I get to the front door, and I can't open it. Not because it's locked, but because my hands are full. I wonder if that's Jesus's point more often than we realize. Not that he isn't offering life. It's that we're already holding too much. An identity, security, control, comfort, achievement, just a little bit more. And Jesus simply says, remain. There was a man who came to Jesus and asked Jesus, how do I get to the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus says, it is easier for a camel to get through an eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. Jesus is just saying, if you got your hands filled with these bags, if you want to experience the kingdom right now, today, all you need to do is come to the cross, set down your bags, and with open hands, receive him. The moment you do, all of the benefits of the cross, his Holy Spirit, his love for you, you receive. Nothing you need to earn. We, as a community, have a gift of Benjamin Wayne Howe. He wrote a song about this idea of receiving, of having worries and fears, but then choosing to go to Jesus, who will give us what we actually need, our source of life. Everything in your hands right now, it's not bad. It was tov. God called it good. But maybe this week, there's something you just need to set down. Doesn't necessarily mean buying less of something. Just set it down. Put it at the feet of Jesus. Lord, you can do with this what you want. You know better than me. There's a man in the Bible who needed food. God sent ravens to bring him water, his name was Elijah. If the Lord can do that, I'm sure he can provide for what you need, even if you're scared. He's good. He is Tov. He is the vine. And he says you're part of him. Let us now worship and praise him. Celebrate our source of life.